humans of the internet, my name is Iceberg Lettuce, our editor is Burnt French Toast, and welcome to a Random Toaster. Back in September-ish, you might remember that Mojang did a little event called Minecon Live, where they revealed a bunch of new stuff about 1.15, as well as the theme of 1.16. In addition to that, they also brought back the biome vote, where you could choose between the Badlands, Swamp, and Mountains to see which biome would get updated first with a few new features. Despite being the obviously correct choice, Swamps didn't win, Mountains did. But me and Burnt French Toast have been talking about what might have gotten added if the Swamps had won the vote. So that's what this video is. What if Mojang updated the Swamp biome? We're going to be basing most of these suggestions off of what was shown off in the Swamp trailer during Minecon, but we also added a few suggestions that we just thought were cool and fit the theme. Okay, so first up on the list is Mangrove Trees. When Mangrove Trees were talked about in the Swamp trailer during Minecon, it wasn't really made clear whether it was a new type of tree generation or an actual whole new type of wood. But because it's cooler, we're going to be treating it like it's a new type of wood. Mangrove trees will only grow in the swamps, and they're a brand new type of wood. The bark is a little bit redder than other kinds of bark, almost looking a bit purplish, and the wood itself is kind of pink, which is a nice color that you don't see in any other types of wood. You can make mangrove wood into slabs, stairs, doors, and trapdoors, you know, all the kinds of stuff you make with wood. I made the mangrove door look like an old outhouse door with a moon on it for, no particular reason, and the trapdoor has a star with it to match. Alright, that's something from the Minecon trailer, but let's talk about something brand new, the water lilies. Alright, so everyone knows lily pads. They only spawn in the swamps, they sit on water, all that stuff. That's pretty cool and all. We thought it'd be cool to add a new sort of type of lily pad. It's not a new type of lily pad per se, but it works in sort of the same way. Water lilies are these pink flowers that will spawn on top of the water in swamp biomes. You can also bone meal the water, and it will grow a bunch of water lilies and lily pads around it, so you can now get a renewable source of these materials. Besides being pink and cool and stuff, the water lily also has a few new features. Not only can this flower be stuck on the surface of water, but also on the top of blocks, and the sides too. The water lily also has a new special property. It's bouncy. Whenever you step on a water lily, you'll get launched about 2 or 3 blocks up in the air. This will allow for some cool new player launchers, as well as an easier way to get mobs from point A to point B, if point B happens to be up on a mountain somewhere. And since the water lily is a flower, you can throw it in a crafting grid to make some pink dye. Alright, it's time to talk about bug fixes. And by bug fixes, I mean fixing the game by adding more bugs. Lightning bugs. Yeah, lightning bugs. Just pretend for a minute we were able to import the model into the game. Okay, so lightning bugs will spawn in swamps, and they'll emit a little bit of glow so you can see them flying around, especially at night. If you see a lightning bug flying around and you've got a bottle in your hand, right-click it and you'll catch the lightning bug in a bottle, getting a new item called the lightning bug in a bottle. Very creative, I know, I came up with it myself. So what does a lightning bug in a bottle do? Probably suffocate in real life, but this is Minecraft, so you can place it around in your world. You can use them as a new lighting block for your builds and stuff. But what if I don't live near a swamp and I want to bottle a bunch of bugs? Well, it's a good thing bugs love garbage. There's not a trash can in Minecraft, so the next best thing would be the composter. In case you're unaware, the composter can be filled up with 8 levels depending on how many items you throw into it. Once it gets to level 8, it gets these white specks on top. At this point, you can right-click it with your hand or whatever to take the bone meal out. If you leave a composter at level 8 without taking out the bone meal, however, lightning bugs will start to spawn around it. That way, you can fill up a whole bunch of bottles with bugs without having to venture away from your home. So what exactly does one do with hundreds of lightning bugs stuck in bottles? How about breed some frogs? Frogs were a new mob that was announced in the Minecon trailer for the swamps. Frogs would obviously spawn in the swamps, and they would be the only mob to be able to swim as well as jump out and walk around on land. Frogs would obviously be pretty peaceful towards you, but they try and attack any arthropod mobs, such as spiders, bees, and the new lightning bugs. Since they're frogs and all, they can jump pretty high, so getting these guys contained is a little tough. They'll follow you around if you have a lightning bug in a bottle in your hand. Like most mobs, when you breed 2 frogs with lightning bugs in bottles, they'll run towards each other and some little hearts will appear around them. After this, one of the frogs will try to find a water source nearby. If there aren't any water sources nearby, they won't be able to make any more frogs. If one of the frogs is able to find a water source, however, they'll run towards it and spawn some tadpoles in it. Tadpoles are basically the baby versions of frogs, and they'll only be able to swim around in water. Once they grow up, however, they'll turn into frogs, and then they'll be able to jump out onto land. So, what exactly does a person need a frog farm for? Frogs will have 2 main drops. The first of these is the frog leg. The frog leg is a new food item that can be cooked in a furnace to make a fried frog leg. In addition, frog legs can be used to make potions of high jump, The item that previously made potions of high jump was the rabbit's foot, but that seems to make more sense to make a potion of luck, which doesn't have a way to be crafted right now in vanilla Minecraft survival. The other main drop of frogs would be slime balls. At the moment, the only way to get slime balls is by killing slimes, which are a hostile mob. This means that it is pretty much impossible to get slime balls in a peaceful world. This would also allow for a way to make slime farms that are a little less, massive. And besides, who wouldn't want a bunch of frogs running around their Minecraft world? They're just cool. We were talking about reasons that you might want to tame a frog, and if we should mention that feature or not, and we couldn't really think of any good reasons, but I wanted to make this tamed frog with a crown anyway, so here you go. Moving on from frogs, the last thing that was mentioned during the swamp trailer at Minecon was chest boats. Much like a hopper minecart or chest minecart, you would be able to craft a chest boat by putting down a chest and a boat in a crafting grid. Chest boats would allow you to carry a lot of your items while you sail the seas and stuff. You'd also find some naturally spawning chest boats in the form of treasure boats in swamps. Treasure boats would spawn with some loot in them, such as fishing loot like fishing rods and fish. I said fish a lot in that sentence. You know what else spawns randomly in swamps? Witch huts. Witch huts have been around for a while without any real major changes, so let's make them cooler. These new witch towers will spawn in swamps, and they're made out of mangrove wood, just like everything else in the swamp. Since they're called witch towers and all, witches will obviously spawn in them a lot, as well as the occasional black cat. Inside these giant witch towers will be a small parkour staircase that leads up to the top where all the loot is. Inside the loot chests up the top you'll find a whole bunch of brewing materials and potions. The last thing we want to talk about for the swamps is mud. Mud would spawn in these pools all around the swamp biome. If you step into a deep enough pool of mud, you'll start to sink in it, and if you stay under too long, you'll start to drown. Unless you use Silk Touch on a mud block, it'll only drop mud balls. Don't worry though, you can use 4 mud balls to make a mud block again. Okay, let's change gears here for a second and talk about pigs. In late game Minecraft, what reason do you really have to have a pig farm? You usually eat something like steak or golden carrots. Pork chops kind of become useless once you get past that point in the game. These mud blocks would give pig farms a new use. When a pig stands around a mud block for long enough, it turns into a muddy pig. When you're holding a shovel in your hand and you right-click on a pig, it will take the mud off of the pig and drop a mud ball. This allows you to make renewable mud farms. So, how is this useful exactly? Well, like I said, 4 mud balls can be crafted into a mud block. But what happens when you throw a mud block into a furnace? It makes clay. This would allow you to have an easy source of renewable clay. Here's another cool thing you can do with mud. You know how when you throw a clay ball into a furnace, it makes a brick? Well, if you throw a mud ball into a furnace, it makes a mud brick. 4 mud bricks can be used to craft a mud brick block, which looks sort of like this. It's a bit more of a brown version of a brick. It's not a color that's really covered by any kind of other block. You can use mud bricks to make stairs, slabs, walls, whatever you want to make. Well, those are our ideas for the swamp biome. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe and stuff, you know, if you want to. Also, me and Burnt French Toast both have Twitter, so go check those out if you feel like it. If you want to talk about Minecraft and other video games with some pretty cool people, check out our Discord in the description as well. Thanks for watching, and see you next time, Toasties.